Bollywood legend Asha Bhosle died recently, and we wanted to take a moment to celebrate her life and her career. And one of the things that I learned in this conversation is that she has 12,000 songs to her credit because she was a playback singer, what's called a playback singer. And so you watch a lot of Bollywood movies and maybe you're watching the actor lip sync to the song. She was the voice. She was the voice behind so many songs. Her career spanned 8 different decades. And also she worked with all kinds of collaborators outside of Bollywood. So Aparita Bhandari is here to pay tribute to Asha Bhosle. I got so much out of this conversation. I think you will too. Let's get to it. Hello, Aparita. Nice to see you.
Hello, Elamin. Lovely to see you too.
Can I just say, before we get into Asha and her career, I just want to just hold on the face that you made as that music was playing. Tell me about the feeling that was coming up as you were listening to her voice.
So that song, Dam Maro Dam, is from a movie, 1971 movie, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. And it sort of delves into hippie culture. And it's just one of these iconic songs where, so basically she's telling you to take a toke in that song.
Noted.
Dam Maro Dam. And it's like, even today, if you go to clubs and this song will come on, everybody will just start swaying. It's just kind of that, you start that.
You start doing side-to-side sway that you just did just there. Yes.
Yeah, you kind of just, you mimic Zeenat Aman in this very, in her sort of full 70s flower power, being intoxicated. And Asha's voice, just like really bringing that intoxication of the music to light. Yeah, so
Aparita,
still does it.
I can't believe you just told me to take a toke on public radio, but that aside.
Listen, you played this song.
That's true. That is true. That began with me. That is on me. I'm willing to wear it. For anyone who doesn't know Asha Bhosle, who was she? Do you want to tell the story of who she was?
Sure. So, it's interesting. Like these people are such, for people who grew up in India, South Asia, they're such just people who are part of your everyday life. They become part of your, just literally waking up. But this has given me an opportunity to delve into her life, which is actually, one forgets how just amazing and interesting it was. So she was born in 1933 in what is now Maharashtra. She's the younger of 2 sisters who ruled Bollywood as playback singers. Now, what is playback singing? So Bollywood or Hindi cinema, just like Hollywood, has a long legacy. It had the silent film era, but when the talkies came, music and dance was like a big part of our movies. Now, interestingly, as I was researching this, apparently this was also a thing in Hollywood where you had ghost singers, but often you wouldn't know who those singers were, right? Like, for instance, in Sister Act, like the person, Sister Mary Robert, like she's actually got a ghost singer behind her singing those very sort of high notes. But in Indian cinema, in Bollywood, these playback singers were just as famous, if not more famous, than the actors. Like they just became these huge stars. So Lata and Asha. Lata was the older sister, and she died in 2022, also at the age of 92. And Asha were like the two, they ruled that whole playback singing thing for decades. But then Asha also went on to have this amazing career outside of Bollywood. I mean, she sang in multiple languages, but then she also collaborated with all these amazing artists, Boy George, Kronos Quartet. I remember when I was in my university at that time, she had collaborated with a boy band called Code Red.
Wow.
A British boy band called Code Red. People might not remember this, but I still remember her. Asha, like she had this really, Asha Tai often as she was called, she had this very sort of grandmotherly figure. So imagine her in her sort of, resplendent in her white, she always wore white, in her white saris with this boy band walking down the streets. It's very cute.
I want to hold on the idea of a playback singer for a moment, because I think that's maybe something that people don't necessarily understand about watching a Bollywood movie, is like the idea that the person that you are watching as they are performing the song, that's not the voice that you're necessarily hearing in that moment. And what you're really saying is, when it comes to Asha, she's somebody who soundtracked so many movies over the years that you'd be watching a lot of different actors sort of lip syncing to different performances, but really with the thing that you're hearing, the voice that you're hearing in the song, is her. So it kind of makes her sort of one of the pillars, if you will, of Bollywood. 12,000 songs over a career, that's quite something. That's an astounding kind of number. What do you think made her such a trailblazer?
Well, Asha was always a little bit different, right? So, I mean, before her, there was Lata. So both Lata and Asha, started singing in Bollywood and Hindi cinema after the death of their father to support the family. So they started fairly young. And Lata kind of laid the ground. And she had this very sort of, she was called the Nightingale
Hmm.
of Indian music. Like she had this very sweet, very trilling, that kind of saw a voice that befitted the role of the sort of very virtuous, chaste,
Hmm.
heroine that you would often see in Hindi cinema. Asha, on the other hand, came with this vivacious, this
It's really playful.
playful,
Yeah.
sexy kind of, like even her first, Lata would be something like, "Kaanton se kheech ke aanchal." It's very sort of high and very controlled,
Please
whereas
keep
Asha
singing,
would
by
be
the way,
like,
Aparita. Anytime
"Oh,
that you want
well,
to keep. Yes. Yes.
I'll tell you, Asha is like, Aye meherban. Like, it's got that kind of, it's from your soul, or like,
Yeah.
it's just sexy. It's just really playful. So she really brought that kind of uh, the other voices, the voice from the street, the kind of vamp, the flower girl, whatever, these voices that would often be considered on the fringes.
Hmm.
She brought those to the fore. But then also later on, in her second marriage with R.D. Burman. R.D. Burman was this guy who brought a lot of like funk and jazz and all of these sort of songs to Indian cinema. And Asha was also very interested in, like, she loved, Gone with the Wind,
Hmm.
that Casablanca, like that. These were her sort of. So she sort of wrote. She talked in one interview about how she was influenced by Carmen Miranda. Like, she brought these influences, but Asha and R.D. Burman, like, they almost revolutionized Indian songs. That Dam Maro Dam is like very, reflective of that kind of a thing. So she was a trailblazer in that sense as well. And
Hmm.
like I said, she had also then gone on to collaborate with people like Michael Stipe or Boy George or, Crows
Yeah.
Court. Like, so she also went beyond Indian music to collaborate with all these other musicians. I believe she was nominated twice
Hmm.
for a Grammy. So she was like a trailblazer in many ways. She even, one of her collaborations was this like really sappy song with Australian cricketer Brett Lee. She did all sorts of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, Asha was just something else.
Well, to that end, I want to just let's take a moment to listen to the last song that she ever recorded. So that is the voice of Asha Bhosle, which she was 90 years old on a new Gorillaz track. It's called The Shadowy Light. David Albarn actually went to her house to record this. I think what I'm hearing you say, Aparita, is that it's kind of fitting that would be the last song that she records, in the sense that she did have this sort of expansive reach where she sort of collaborate with different people from different kinds of genres. What do you think her legacy is going to be?
Well, like I said, Asha's, much like Lata's voice, is kind of like the soundtrack of our lives in many
Hmm.
ways. Like for people who grew up in India, like you grow up with these songs, at least in my generation, you grew up with these songs playing everywhere. It started in the morning in the radio. You go outside, it's playing at like the corner shop, and then later at night, even like when you're sort of sometimes reflecting on different things in life, you often would say things through song. And
Hmm.
it would be these songs, right? You would say, oh, playfulness, you would say, oh, that you sort of "Isharo, isharo me." You're trying to sort of say, oh, we're talking in signals. So these songs kind of become a part of our lives in that sense. So
Yeah.
Asha's legacy is that she has given us the soundtrack of our lives. Like, when I go down the streets of Toronto, and sometimes I have this sort of moment and one of her songs will pop up in my head. So it's that legacy.
Hmm.
But also, like you said, he went to her house to record this song. He played on R.D. Burman's harmonium, apparently, according to his Instagram post.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she opened up our world to also like a larger world, that's also her legacy. So it's multifaceted.
Aparita, it's always wonderful to spend time with you, friend. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so great. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thanks, Elamin.
Yes, of course. Aparita Bhandari is a writer and podcaster, and also, as it turns out, also a singer. Thank you so much for that. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. We'll be back tomorrow. We'd love to see you then.